Today, we're going to learn how to add and subtract mixed numbers. So, a mixed number is essentially just a number with a fraction and a whole number. So you see in this example we have right here, there's a whole number and there's a fraction. So when we're adding and subtracting, there's a few steps that we need to do. So first, we need to convert the mixed numbers into just pure fractions. So let's look at this, 2 and 1/4. The first step is that we have to convert both these numbers, 2 and 1/4 and 3 1/2, into fractions. So the first step is we multiply the whole number and the denominator. So 2 is the whole number and 4 is the denominator of the fraction. So 2 times 4, that's going to be 8. Once we have that number 8 written down, we need to add it to the numerator, which is the top part of the fraction. So 8 plus 1, that's going to be 9. So once we do that, we can get rid of the whole number. So it's going to be 2 and 1/4 is basically just going to be 9/4. So let's do it for the second number. So we said the first step is to multiply the whole number and the denominator. So here the whole number is 3, and the denominator, which is the bottom of the fraction, is 2. So 3 times 2, that's going to be 6. So once we have that 6 number, let's write it down right here. We need to add it to the numerator, and we can get rid of the whole number. So the numerator is the top part of the fraction, so it's right here. So if we add 6 and 1, we're going to get 7. So we get rid of the whole number, and it's going to be 7/2. Now we can add these. But we can't add them together yet because they have different denominators. We can't add two fractions if they have different denominators. You need to remember that. Very important. So how can we get these both to have the same denominators? So if you see right here, if we multiply this fraction's denominator by 2, it's going to become 4. So if we multiply this entire fraction right here, 7/2 by 2, we're going to get a different fraction. So let's see. We multiply 2/2. It will be 4, because 2 times 2 right here is 4, and 14, because 7 times 2 is 14. So we changed it to 7/2 to 14/4. So now they both have the same denominator. So now we can add them up. So since they have the same denominator, we just have to add the numerators up, which is the top part of the fraction. So 14 plus 9, that's going to be 23. So the final answer is going to be 23/4. So here's another adding problem with mixed numbers. So on the right, I listed down the steps for adding mixed numbers. So right now, since we're just starting, we're going to be on the first step. So the first step is to multiply both fractions with the whole number and the denominator. So that's what we did before. So let's start with this mixed number right here. So 3 times 3, that's 9. And we add it to the numerator, which is 9 plus 1. And that would be 10. So it would be 10/3. So we just did step 1 and 2. Now we need to do it for this fraction right here. So we multiply the whole number and the denominator. So 4 times 6, that's 24. And we add it to the numerator. So that would be 24 plus 2. That would be 26. So it would be 26/6. So now we completed step 1 and 2. We turned the mixed numbers into just regular fractions. So now we can move to step 3. Step 3 says that we need to get the same denominator. So you see here, the denominator for the first fraction is 3, and the denominator for the second fraction is 6. So how can we get both denominators to be the same? So for the first fraction right here, if we multiply both parts by 2, we're going to get 6. So 3/10 times 2. So this would be 6/20, since we multiply 2 and 10 and 2 and 3. So now the new problem is going to be 20/6 plus 26/6. So once we did that, we're on our final step, which is just to add. So 20 plus 26, that's just going to be 46. So it's going to be, the final answer is going to be 46 over 6. So now that we learned how to add mixed numbers, we're going to learn how to subtract mixed numbers. So I wrote down the steps again, which are really similar to how to add. So I wrote them down right here. So the first step is to make these into fractions. So basically what we did with adding. So we know how to do that. We multiply the whole number by the denominator. So let's start with this one first. 2 times 5, that is 10. And we add it to the numerator. So 10 plus 1, that's just 11. And we take away the whole number. So it would just be 11 over 5. So the second fraction, it would be 1 times 4, that's just 4. And we add it to the numerator, which is 3. So 3 plus 4, that's 7. So it's going to be 7 over 4, and we get rid of the whole number. So we know, since the denominators here is 5 and 4, the lowest multiple that they have in common would be 20. So we want to make the 5 and 4 both into 20s. So to do that, we would have to multiply the first fraction, the one with the 5, by 4. Because 4 times 5 is 20. So 5, 11 times 4, that's going to be 44 over 20. So let's write that down here. 44 over 20. So the second one, to get 20 for the second fraction, we're going to have to multiply it by 5. So 7 over 4 times 5. So it would be 35, because this times this is 35, and 20, because 4 times 5 is 20. So the final thing would be 35 over 20. Now we can finally move to the final step, where we get the answer. We just subtract. So since we have the same denominators, we can finally subtract. So 44 minus 35, that's just going to be 9. And our final answer is going to be 9 over 20. We just subtract the numerators, by the way. Same with adding. We only subtract these two, and we only add these two. So when we're adding, we only add these two, and we're subtracting, we only add these. We never do anything with the denominators. Never add them or subtract them. Big no-no. So our final answer is 9 over 20. We're going to do one more example. So this is going to be our last example. So first thing, you guys probably already know, we need to follow the first and second step. We need to change both of these mixed numbers into just pure fractions. So we multiply the whole number and the denominator. So 5 times 7, that's going to be 35. Let's write that down right here. And we add that to the numerator, which is the top of the fraction. So 35 plus 2, that's going to be 37. So it will be 37 over 7. And for the second fraction, 3 times 3, that's 9. We add it to the numerator. 9 plus 1, that's 10. So it's going to be 10 over 3. So we finished the first and second step. Now we need to do the third step. We need to get the same denominator. So they're both different. One's a 7, one's a 3. Their least common multiple is 21. So the first fraction, we need to multiply by 3 to get 21. The second fraction, we need to multiply by 7 to get the same denominator. So let's do the first fraction first. 7 times 3, that's 21, and 111. Pretty big number. So for the second part, that's just 21 over it. For the second fraction, we need to multiply by 7 to get 21, because 7 times 3 is 21. So just make a line here. Multiplied by 7, that's going to be 21 and 70. So the final thing is 70 and 21. Now for the answer. So 111 minus 70 is 41. So the numerator of our answer is going to be 41. And we don't do anything with the denominator, so it's going to stay the same at 21. Therefore, our final answer is 41 over 21.